There are a number of reasons at different times for renaming a worksheet, for inserting a new worksheet, deleting a worksheet, and occasionally even hiding a worksheet, and of course later unhiding it. We're looking at a workbook called 09 Regional Sales, and the current sheet is the East sheet. I'd like to rename that Midwest sheet. I can right-click that sheet. It's called Midwest right now. Right-click that sheet and rename, and I can certainly start typing. Do that right now. Slightly faster, I'll double-click that sheet tab. That activates it, and I'll just type Central. Sheet names can have up to 31 characters. Do not begin a sheet name with a number. It can contain spaces and underscores. And when we're finished, just press Enter. We can easily insert a new sheet. We're about to create a mountain region here. I want a new sheet to the left of the West sheet. A few different ways to do this. As you might guess, we can then choose Worksheet, which is the automatic selection. Click OK. We'll have a new sheet to the left of that sheet. We can also do this when the West is selected. I'll simply press Shift F11. That also inserts a new sheet. And there's a third way. This will put a new sheet to the right of the current one. There's a plus. Typically, we see it off to the right of the last sheet tab. Keep your eye on that West sheet. We're about to see a new sheet to the right of that. There we are. Now, as it turns out, I don't need this sheet sheet 5. I'm going to right-click and delete. There's no data in it, so there's no warning or any second thoughts about that. But what if I decide to delete sheet 4 and I mistakenly right-click on the West sheet? Now, this is highly unlikely, but occasionally, these things happen. I'm on the path to deleting the West sheet. Now, it does have data in it, and I get this warning. Microsoft Excel will permanently delete this sheet. Now, what this really means is we cannot undo this action. In fact, most actions related to sheet tabs we can't undo. If I click delete here, the West sheet is gone. And my only recourse to get that back would be to close the file without saving it. So I'll simply cancel here. So we want to be particularly sensitive. This sheet here I don't need, right-click delete. Again, there will be no warning. That's an empty sheet, has no data. And same thing with sheet 1. As it turns out, maybe I don't need that. But maybe I'll come back later and rename it Mountain. From time to time, you might need to hide a sheet. Now, possibly others use this workbook, or maybe I use it for demo purposes. I don't need this to be showing here. So we can right-click a sheet tab and hide a sheet. At a later time, if we need to get that back, we don't have to be near where that sheet was hidden, but we could go to another sheet tab, any sheet tab, right-click. If unhide is selectable, it means there is at least one hidden sheet. We'll click unhide. If you've got multiple hidden sheets, you can only unhide one at a time. So at some point, maybe I want to unhide this, click OK, and there it is back again in its previous location. So as we've seen, it's easy to rename a sheet, typically by double-clicking. We can insert a sheet in a variety of different ways. From time to time, we will delete a sheet, being very careful about not being able to undo, and occasionally hide and unhide worksheets. You can move a worksheet left or right just by dragging it. We're in this workbook, 09 Regional Sales. I want the South sheet to be to the left of Midwest. I'll simply click and drag the South sheet, put it to the left of Midwest. At other times, you might want to make a copy of a sheet. I want to take the data in the West sheet, make a copy of it. Maybe I want to experiment with a variation on these numbers. I've got the Control key held down now. I'll drag this right or left, let go of the mouse first, and we made a copy of a sheet. You can do that easily. If I were to right-click on the West sheet, choose Move or Copy, this might take a little longer if I do what I just did here, but I might want to create a copy of that sheet and put it in a new workbook. I choose New Workbook, click OK, we'd have a new workbook. I'm not going to go there right now, but that's easily done. There might be other workbooks open too. I could copy it into those as well too. Now, I've got 4 sheets here, East, South, Midwest, West. They've got identical layouts. In other words, their headings in row 2 and column A are all the same. I might want to make a change to all of them. So I might want to change the zoom factor on all of them too. Whenever you want to make changes to multiple sheets, you can group them. Now, if they're consecutive, as they are here, we can click on the East or West sheet, makes no difference. In other words, the one at either end. I just click the East sheet. Now I've got the Shift key held down, and I'll click on that West sheet tab. Those sheets are grouped. It certainly has a different appearance. And at the top of your screen, following the file name, you see the word Group. When these are grouped, a change we make here, even though we're only viewing one of the sheets, is going to be happening on all 4 of these sheets. I want a new row between row 6 and 7. I right-click row 7 and insert. We've got a new row. And if I look at the Midwest sheet, West sheet, South sheet, that's happened on all of them. I'm going to click on cell A1. That's happening on all of them. And in the lower right-hand corner, there's that zoom slider bar. I'm going to slide that back and forth a little bit. I'm changing the zoom factor on all these sheets at the same time. And it's up to you to remember that they are grouped. Not that long ago, I remember changing a cell in a situation like this, and I realized only later that I had made that change on multiple sheets because they were still grouped. So you'll learn to keep an eye on the word group up in the title bar, and of course the display does look different. So on these different sheets here, notice how that sometimes we still want to do scrolling, and I did click on that cell, and it happened on all of them. Nothing truly wrong with that. At some point, we want to ungroup. So if I right-click, ungroup, that's certainly one way, or I could have grouped on one of the sheets that's not part of the group, for example, sheet 2, ungroup. It's unlikely that in this particular layout of worksheets that I would want to make a change to two sheets that are not adjacent, but if I wanted to make a change to the Midwest sheet and the East sheet, but not the other two, Midwest is selected, I'll hold down the Control key and click East. Once again, the word group appears in the title bar at the top. If I make a change now, and I'll just do a simple one here, I'll click here and make this italic. That happened on the East sheet, happened on the Midwest sheet, and as I click South, it will ungroup. It didn't happen on the South sheet, didn't happen on the West sheet. So we've seen the technique for grouping sheets. Usually it's consecutive. Click, shift-click at either end of a list of sheets. We saw earlier how to move a sheet and copy a sheet. Different techniques you'll use as you work with multi-sheet workbooks.